Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Chiefs halftime show. The Kansas City Chiefs down there in Jacksonville taking on the Jaguars, trailing at the half 18-10. But you and I both know that doesn't matter. This is the Arrowhead Addict podcast. We're going to get you back to the second half, but we're going to react to the first half. So let us know, first of all, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and let me know in the chat what your big first impressions of Chiefs football were this season. What did you like? What didn't you like? Who stood out to you? I'm just going to go ahead and right off the top let you know that this is now a Carson Steele fan podcast. Wow. That dude was everything I hoped he would be. I hadn't really looked at Carson Steele, like actually looked at him when I made the joke on the pregame show that he was a romance novel cover model with that name. He literally looks like a romance novel cover model. The dude's got like long blonde hair and he's absolutely jacked. And I mean, did you see him on the football field just clowning dudes, running them over? I was thinking he was going to be blocking, but as a short yardage guy, I want to see more. Obviously he was an undrafted guy out of UCLA. I don't think he's going to be a running back getting a lot of carries, but as a fullback, short yardage, hammer guy, I just would love to see him get more carries in the second half just to kind of see what he's got, because that was certainly intriguing. Yeah, Jay Ward says in the chat, Carson Steele. Isop says, any news on Hollywood? I haven't seen anything else. Unlikely to find anything out like that. Look, I think he's probably okay. I mean, knock on wood that nothing crazy happened like a collarbone. If you didn't catch it on the first play of the game, Hollywood Brown caught a pass and then kind of got driven into the ground awkwardly. Hopefully he just kind of like sprained up his shoulder a little bit. He was questionable to return, so it wasn't something that was like serious. So, like initially, obviously so serious that they were going to just take him out of the game. But when something like that happens in the preseason, he's not coming back in. Like the Chiefs, they only play the starters for the one drive anyway, so he wouldn't have come back in even if that didn't happen. There's just no reason to risk it. He's a really important part of what they're going to do. But I haven't seen any, and if anybody else has seen anything on Twitter, any update on his injury, good or bad, let us know. But I think probably, hopefully, knock on wood, he's okay. Just got driven into the turf a little bit, and they're being cautious with anything like that in the preseason. Special teams, absolute disaster. Yeah, not good. That was a big takeaway for me too. Special teams, not loving what I'm seeing there. But look, I mean, this is preseason. So first kick of this new kickoff rule, the Chiefs got punked. But this is what you've got to watch out for during the regular season. It very much is kind of like a running play or a punt return. And so if they don't play sound gaps and stay in their lanes and tackle well, there's going to be a lot more bigger plays, which makes it a more exciting play, but also means like there's no getting bailed out in this play if you don't do your job. It's really, really important. So I'm looking. So there's a doctor that is tweeting about Hollywood Brown, and he says, if this is the play where Hollywood Brown got injured, looks like a potential left AC sprain as he lands on his side. Hopefully that's just minor. Again, this is complete conjecture of a guy who's just like looking at a clip. I'm watching it now. It's not a great angle. I mean, he lands on his shoulder. Let's see if it's the ball hand. I can't tell. Yeah, it looks like he kind of landed on the football too. So yeah, here's another look at it from a different angle. Yeah, he just got driven into the ground on his left shoulder. So he was questionable to return. I think if he had a broken collarbone, they probably would have said he was out. I'm sure he's okay. If something serious was going on, there are reporters down there. I feel like they would know if he was in that kind of pain. Bumpa says preseason's hard to watch, man. Yeah, look, it's rough. Okay, so some takeaways from me from that first half. I thought the offense looked sharp. The starting offense, they did a nice job. They came out, they moved the ball down the field. It didn't result in a touchdown, but I'm not really too concerned about that. Mahomes looked sharp. Kelsey's running around out there. Nice run by Pacheco up the middle for I think 16 yards. You're always looking for that. But right now, your leading rusher is Carson Steele, 4 carries for 29 yards, and had that 20-yard run, which was really pretty awesome. But I think the offense, like that's what you want to see, them coming out, throwing the football, catching the football, which is huge, and looking sharp. So everything that happens after that, we're so early in training camp and everything like that. They're coming out, they're just kind of it's like an appetizer, right? The Chiefs are just having an appetizer. They're getting their feet wet. So don't overreact to an insanely small sample size, good or bad. And really any of these games, but in particular this one, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. But we could evaluate what we see and think of these as like a couple of practice reps, right? So some bad practice reps for the Chiefs in some areas. The pass coverage in particular startled me a little bit in a couple of different areas. Obviously, I think that was Nick Jones who got burned by Duvernay there at the end of the half. That was just bad. Duvernay did a great job of tracking that ball. And so Joshua Williams got beat really badly once. So not liking what I'm seeing from the coverage so far, but that's fine. Like what this game is for. Like the Chiefs aren't running their regular defense. The regular defensive plays, like they're not being exotic, which is one of Spag's hallmarks, right? So it's just kind of going out there and playing some man defense and matching up against guys, and you got beat a little bit. Javier says backup left guard was trash. Yeah, that was another note that I have here. Just none of it looked good. Like the backup interior offensive line did not look good. They had the fumble. I noticed was. And I'm interested to go back and watch the film because it's obviously hard to see what the hell's going on when you're just watching that live broadcast. But the ball that got snapped over Carson Wentz's head was Mike Caliendo. So I didn't think we'd see Mike Caliendo playing center. He was. Snapped it over Carson Wentz's head. Gage Walker says, how did these players not know the kickoff rules? Yeah, that was Deneric Prince at the end of the half there with the kickoff. Just sort of like was just going to leave the ball there for the Jaguars to get a touchdown. Hats off to McCole Hardman for being heads up there and realizing that, hey, that's a live ball. I'm going to go pick that up and pull it into the end zone. Hunter Norzad, who I thought would get some reps at center. I didn't see if he did, but I did see him playing some guard. Again, the interior offensive line play, not great. Let's go back to the chat. Let me know what you saw out there. Jaden Hicks is an animal from Weston. Chris, Tobe Group looks horrific. Again, like the special teams in particular, I'm just sort of like, yes, I'd like them to be sharp, but there's this brand new kickoff rule. And so I'm hoping that there's some experimenting going on. They're trying some things out to see if they work. But obviously they got smoked and put the starting defense in a really bad position. Let's see here. Backup card was trash. Oh, that's funny. I can't go. Sorry, I'm talking out loud in my head about we're using a new platform, so I've got a new chat, and I just realized that I can't. It seems I can only scroll back so far. Andrew says knee-jerk reaction. CEH has got to go already. Prince and Steele look light years more explosive. Seriously, the fullback is faster than Clyde. Besides Bucker, the special teams are awful. Felix looks to have learned to pass rush, but good grief, he's getting removed 2 to 3 yards off the line of scrimmage against the run. Might want to concentrate on open field tackling. Look, when it comes to Clyde, and like I said at the top, you can't overreact to Clyde getting bottled up a couple of times. Like, we know what Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. He's a replacement level running back. Like, that's what he is. Steele having that really great run. Like, remember the play on the goal line a couple years ago where Clyde Edwards-Helaire just like, I think it was against, I want to say it was against the Steelers. just had a huge collision and knocked the guy over and then scored. If he had done that in this preseason game, would you be like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is an absolute beast? No, of course not. It's a couple plays. I wouldn't read too much into anything. But it is cool to see the new guys you don't know. Like as I mentioned, we know who Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. We don't know anything about Carson Steele or what he can really bring to the table if given consistent touches. So when you see a flash like that, it certainly is exciting. It doesn't mean that he's going to take Isaiah Pacheco's job or anything, but it is nice to see. Jesse says Clyde does stink. It's not an overreaction. It's been 4 years. He's a running back. He's a running back at best, and Prince is not a game time player. He's a kid who hits the bottom in practice and never ever swings the bat in a game. I don't think Clyde stinks. I don't think he stinks. I think he's just a guy. I actually thought he played pretty well for them last year. He bulked up a little bit, did some nice things. I thought he was in a really good role last year for the Chiefs, which is a backup replacement level running back, not a starter that you're going to rely on, and not the guy that we thought we were getting when he was drafted at the end of the first round. Jay Ward says, I hate preseason because the overreactions are hilarious. It's fun, right? Like, it's fun to get a look, especially some of these young guys and some of these guys that you're not going to see at all come regular season time. But like right now, look, I would say that the Chiefs' second unit looks poor, disjointed, a lot less together than the Jaguars' second unit. I wanted to see more out of Carson Wentz. 4 for 4, 26 yards, didn't look great, was sacked. Meanwhile, CJ Beathard's out there, and he's got 126 yards passing and a touchdown. Does that mean that CJ Beathard is better than Carson Wentz, or that Carson Wentz won't be better playing with starters or with more time in any read system? No, it's just, he has 4 passing attempps. That's it. So, and the line play wasn't very good. So, again, you can't really take anything away from Carson Wentz. It's just a really, really small sample size. We'll see more of him later in the preseason, and things will be a little bit more planned out and I imagine a little bit sharper. But right now it's sort of like it's simulated. I mean, it's an actual game, but it's a practice game. Your leading receiver right now is Noah Gray, just like we all thought. Nobody else really made an impact. Cornell Powell's still running around out there, but this is going to be his last, I think, offseason with the Chiefs. Nico Remigio had a nice catch there near the goal line, but wasn't able to get in. So that's really it. Not any more big takeaways in the second half. Oh, by the way, Kingsley, I thought did a nice job in the very limited time that he was out there. But that's it. So now you're just going to keep an eye on the young guys in the second half. Hope people don't get injured, and hopefully we get a lot more Carson Steele, because that was in a half that wasn't particularly fun. That was a fun run. Michael says, I wish there was something at stake in the preseason. I would argue there is health, right? So get your prayer candles out and, make sure that Hollywood Brown is okay and that nobody else gets hurt. Rafa says, thoughts on the 2-point conversion by Dougie P. Yeah, I just think probably he wanted to try it. This is the preseason, so it's a time to work on some plays and work on some situations in a scrimmage format against guys that you're not used to seeing every day, that you don't know their tendencies as well. And so I think Doug Peterson's just down there and he's like, okay, like let's try a 2-point conversion. Like, what's he going to learn from his kicker kicking an extra point? Like, he knows his kicker can kick an extra point. He does it a million times, but you don't find yourself in 2-point conversion situations as much. So I think teams should be in the lab more. I think I would love to see some pitches and some trick play attempts and stuff on the new kickoff, because this is a time to do it. It doesn't matter, and it's good to get an idea of what might happen in a live game situation. Jay says Pacheco looking sharp. Yeah, I mean, look, they busted open a big hole for him. He looks fast. He looks good. He looks fresh. He should be. It's the first preseason game. So yeah. Teron says if Hollywood has a broken, let's not put that out into the universe. And let's hope that Hollywood Brown is fine. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let you go and watch the second half. We will be back right here after the game to break things down. My guy Price Carter from the Intangibles, our Monday show, is going to be joining me, as well as Branson Gibson, live from Australia, a contributor to Arrowhead Addict. We're going to break down everything in a little bit more detail, take your questions. So we will see you guys after the game. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.